Hi, Rhema. It's week 45, day 1 of our Bible narrative reading plan. Today we're in Luke chapter 24. This week is the glorious week, the week after the resurrection of our Lord, and we pick back up today still on Resurrection Sunday in Luke 24. We begin to see more and more of Jesus' resurrection appearances. Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 15 that Jesus appeared to hundreds of people, at least 512 different people during that time between our Lord's resurrection and ascension, which we'll see later this week. We don't know the details of how he appeared and when he appeared and who all he appeared to, but we do have some of those accounts given to us. And here in Luke 24, we're still on Resurrection Sunday. Jesus has risen, and the disciples are looking for him. And then Luke shifts the focus here in verse 13 to different disciples. He says that very day there were 2 of them going to a village named Emmaus. We don't know who these disciples were. They weren't part of the 12, apparently. One of them is named Cleopas. We get that name down in verse 18. We don't know who the other disciple is, but these 2 disciples, they're walking from Emmaus, away from Jerusalem towards Emmaus. And they've been in Jerusalem. They know all that's happened, but they're not encouraged. That's what we would expect for a follower of Jesus on Resurrection Sunday. They should be excited, but these men are not excited. They're discouraged because things haven't gone the way they think that they should. And Jesus shows up and they don't recognize him. And so Jesus begins talking to him and he asks them why they're sad. And they look at him as if he's crazy. Are you the only one who doesn't know what's happened in Jerusalem these last days? So Jesus says, well, tell me about it. And so you hear what they say in verses 19 and 20 and following. And notice verse 21, it says, we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. They knew who Jesus was. They had seen all these things, but they still had the wrong expectations. They hoped that he would come and set up his political kingdom right then. They hoped that he would fix all of their problems as they identified their problems, and they failed to see how Jesus' death on the cross was actually the answer to their greatest problem, their sin. They see the death, but they don't believe about the resurrection. And they say, besides all this, besides all of our hopes, it's been 3 days since all of this has happened. But notice verse 24, they've heard about the resurrection. They just don't believe it. They say, verse 24, some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said. They heard the testimony of the women, and then they went and checked it out themselves, but they still don't believe that he's actually been raised from the dead, and they fail to see the significance of this. And Jesus has listened to all of this. In verse 25, you hear a response from Jesus that you hope is never directed personally towards you. O foolish ones, slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory? Jesus says, have you not read the scriptures? Why are you so hard-hearted and foolish of heart? You should know these things. You should understand. Verse 27, beginning with Moses and the prophets, he interpreted to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. What a Bible study that would have been on the road to Emmaus. As Jesus explained to them, he pointed through all the scriptures how everything that Jesus has done has been prophesied. That he would live the perfect life, that he would die on the cross in their place, and that he would be raised again on the 3rd day. It's all been prophesied in the Old Testament, but they failed to recognize that. Jesus goes on with them, but eventually he leaves them that day, and they reflect back upon the day, and they say, did not our hearts burn within us while he talked to us on the road, while he opened to us the scriptures? As Jesus made the scriptures come alive to them, their hearts burn within them. They can't keep it to themselves. They go and tell others how he has appeared to them. And again, on the same day, this Resurrection Sunday, Jesus appears to the 12 as they are there in the upper room, and the 2 from Emmaus are there talking to them about what happened to them. And then Jesus appears. They're scared. They say, "Why?" Jesus says, "Why are you troubled? Why do you have doubts in your heart? See my hands, see my feet. It is me. It is I, as myself. Touch me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see that I have." Jesus appears to them. He even eats with them. He has a glorified body. It still contains the scars, but he's still in a glorified body. He is the God-man. He will be human forever and God forever. Jesus appears to them in his glorified body, showing them that he is truly alive. He's not here. He is risen. Here's a summary of today's reading. For more information, go to tunemyheart.org.